Hi, Turkish Star Rose. Welcome back. I might do today's video in the car. Realizing that I probably should hook up my mic because the audio definitely sounds significantly different. But because it doesn't always stay consistently working, I guess because this audio turns out to be okay, I figure I will just roll with it with, the audio that I have in the camera. So I want to talk more about the food thing. Again, it's the holidays for people that celebrate the holidays, Christmas or whatever. So it could be difficult to avoid eating in a certain way or certain foods or whatever. But it's just important to be aware of how you feel before and after. Because I think we have a lot of consistent ideas. Fix this piece of hair. I feel like lately there's something going on this side of my hair that just it just wants to run away or something. I don't know. I've just noticed that food can really weigh you down and make you feel heavy. Like your energy, it can weigh your energy down. And what weighs your energy down is kind of suppressing your higher self, your insights, your inspiration, your motivation, your knowing. So I'm not here to take anyone's holiday cookies away from them. God knows I'm not trying to take my own holiday cookies away. Like I said probably before, I do tend to try to not really do a lot of sugar. And I could go long periods of time without any sugar whatsoever. But it's I have this idea that, oh, well, it's the holidays, so I'm just gonna, do whatever. And that's fine. But I do also realize there's still consequences to eating certain things. It affects the state that I'm in, which affects what shows up in my reality. I thought it was too cold out to do this, but I was actually going to do this in the car, but I decided to come out anyway. Even if I ultimately did the rest of it in the car, which I typically do anyway, or if I had to re-record the whole thing in the car. I figured it was just good to at least come out just to stay consistent with how I've been doing things. It is a full moon. Mercury is still in retrograde. I don't like to make that some kind of limitation on myself. It's I'm not going to not leave my house or something, or I'm not going to not send a text because of those things. It's just something that I'm aware of. So it could be affecting my energy and how I feel. Just a little, I don't know. So how are you defining yourself? Are you defining yourself? Are you letting other people define you? Because the only person that gets to define you is you. We have a tendency to define ourselves based on past experiences, based on how other people have perceivably defined us throughout our lives. At the end of the day, how you see yourself is the only thing that matters. I don't have to do the videos outside. I just wanted to stay consistent with my process. I had a lot of insights for things. For one, how are you defining yourself? Are you defining yourself based on what other people define you as? And what do you know about what they define you as? Do you know what they define you as? Or do you think you know what they define you as, and then you're acting accordingly to that identity? Because your identity can be changed in a moment. Right now, you could change your identity to something that's more empowering. You know, if it's money or, you know, those things can be touchy, they could be tricky. You know, there's subjects that, when it comes to aligning with certain realities, manifesting, it could be certain subjects could be more triggering than others. They could be more challenging. One thing is typically money, just because of the programming that's taken place about how money works and what it actually is and how much there actually is in the world. Like it's this, like there's this amount that's sort of divvied up like a pie. That's not how it works. It's an energy and everything is unlimited. So it's really within you to align with what it is that you want to align with. The biggest part of this is the identity. So one thing I was going to talk about, this is going to sound probably boring at first, but I have been actually cleaning out my storage unit. It's almost completely cleaned out now at this point. And for one thing, it's going to sound weird, like it makes no sense, or it's silly, or I'm being silly, or I don't know, but actually like dropped 9 pounds since doing this. Like I've been working out for a very long time. I've been eating pretty much the same type of food for a very long time. And I think that I know that there's a connection between the things that I recently finally let go of, my personal belongings, and that weight loss. I mean, that's just, weight is a triggering topic, and actually I am going to get into that on another video for sure. I did have eating disorders when I was younger. Spent a long time in a specific eating disorder when I was younger, and I do want to talk about that because it's a very triggering topic for people. So I just want to make sure that I cover that in a way that it's very sensitive to anybody that could be watching. But when it comes to the weight, in terms of releasing items in my storage unit, there's so much energy in your things. When you hold on to things, again, this goes back to the intentions, probably video 1, video 2, I don't know, but I'll probably be talking about intentions quite a bit. Why are you holding on to certain things? Why are you holding on to certain emotions? Why are you holding on to certain memories? Why are you holding on to certain thoughts? Why are you holding on to certain things? What is it about the things? Are you holding on to them? And by the way, I am very into like feng shui. I could just make a whole series probably on how in love I am with the idea of feng shui and just implementing that in my life. It's a fun little idea, but also it's very powerful. And you could take it to the simplest terms. You don't have to get into all these things like the bhagwas, the placement of certain types of things. You don't have to get into all that. You can make it very simple. And, in the simplest terms, it's just really being surrounded by things that you absolutely love, that are a representation of you and what you love, who you love, energy that is inspiring to you, versus things that you might be holding on to out of guilt. Somebody might have given you a gift and you have it in your home, but you don't really like it. Things affect you. Even things you're not looking directly at, they're affecting you. And you walk into a room and something it could reach your peripheral vision. You're not really paying attention to it, but it's still there. So it's still part of your reality. It's still going into your subconscious and it's affecting you. So that's something I could really do a lot with at some point. But just in simplest terms, in relating it to the storage unit, now that all this stuff is like in my home, all the stuff that was in the storage unit is now in my home, but I am going through it and getting rid of a lot of stuff. I've gotten rid of a lot of stuff. I've donated a lot of things. I've thrown away a lot of things. And just the act of letting go of these things that, even though they weren't in my home before, they were in a storage unit and they were affecting me on a subconscious level, because I had like totes stacked up high. And it's a climate controlled storage unit. There's no light actually in the unit itself. There's like a light in the hallway. And also it's a small one, so there's not a lot of space to like take these things apart and look at them. Like, I have to like take a tote off of another tote and to see what's in everything, or specific ones at a time when I would go visit there. And I had put this stuff in the hallway so I could see it. So just that alone, just having to go through that process was very draining and exhausting. And it's a drive to get there. It's not really far away. It's a hop, skip, and a jump, but it's still I have to get in my car and drive to another place, and then I have to take, a tote off of another tote, put things on the ground so that I can go through them. And now everything's at home, so I could just, I could sit on the floor and just dump everything out if I wanted to, or just, shuffle through things. It's so much easier. And because it's so much easier, it's easy for me to organize things, condense things, and now let things go. There's no reason for me to be hanging on to this anymore. So doing that is very powerful. And like I said, I wanted to talk about the holidays, and we are so close to it now that it's, and the countdown is here. For those who celebrate it, no pressure in celebrating the holidays at all. And some people, due to their culture, their background, their beliefs, they already don't celebrate it. So, and that's totally awesome too. So whatever you do, whether you celebrate, you don't celebrate, I tend to celebrate, but kind of it's always a rickety, conflictual thing. But they can be very nice, But I think something that's been very fun and something that's really infusing me with a lot of good energy about the holidays and about this whole situation with the totes, because my commitment was 2 totes a weekend, and now this unit is almost completely, there's 2 pieces of furniture and some odds and ends left. It's almost completely empty. So relating that to the holidays, it's letting go of things from the past. And it actually makes me feel more abundant because I have things to let go of. There's some cool things in there that somebody else would actually probably love and get a lot of use out of or joy out of, So it's really interesting. I feel like there's the real sense of giving, and then there's the holiday giving where, you see the commercials, whether now it's, on TV or it's on YouTube, wherever you're seeing commercials. You definitely get this sense of urgency to go shopping somewhere, and for the wrong reasons. So back to the intentions. It just makes me feel really good to let go of things, whether they end up being, I donate them to a thrift store, whether the thrift store ends up keeping them or not. Hopefully they do. There was a situation that happened actually yesterday. I don't know if I even want to talk about it because it kind of really upset me after I left. I got rid of just a tote of something that I felt there was a family walking into the store, and I just felt I could just give them this stuff and offer it to them and not even bypass the whole store. And it bothered me to the extent that I almost they were walking in, and they walked in pretty quickly. So I didn't get it. I started driving away, and I was still on this topic. I felt I really should have just offered this stuff to them. And I felt really I regretted that I didn't. There was no place to park. It was completely packed. So I parked off to the side, sort of in the middle of where people would be coming in to park. There's a place that you drop off next to where I was parked. So I was just sort of double parked. So there really wasn't a place for me to legitimately park. So I was kind of just trying to hurry up and do this thing as quickly as possible. So I dropped it off outside, and I saw them walk in, and I felt I should have offered it to them, but it was more of an afterthought. They were walking into the store, they then entered the store, and I was okay, and I just got in my car and I left. But as I was driving, I kept thinking about it, and I felt turning the car around and going back and just going into the store to try to find these people to see if I can give them my stuff without even getting the store involved with any of it. But I didn't. But it was just something for me to be if anything else, I took it as a lesson for something that I could do moving forward. The next time I take a trip there, if something like that happens again, if I see people and I have stuff that I think is really nice, instead of just setting it down, I feel like next time I'll be more aware of whoever's like, you know, in the parking lot. If there's people like walking into the store, I can, like the same thing, but I'll have more time to kind of process it. I've had time to process that, so now I can actually, that's something I could do, or I could consider doing, instead of just leaving it there and not knowing what, you know, ends up happening to it. But it bothered me, because I just really felt like, you know, I don't know, it was like a family and like this little kid, and he just looked so happy. He was like bopping around and like on the way into the store, and I just thought, you know, this stuff could have went to him for free. I don't know. It bummed me out, but it was a learning experience, and he seemed happy anyway. And my thought was that hopefully he went in there. I don't know why they were going in there. Maybe it had nothing to do with him. Maybe they were just going because she wanted to find something for herself or whatever. But if it was something for him, I felt like hopefully he picked out things that he like completely picked out himself that he wanted, and then he got things that he intentionally picked out. But back to intentions, just like, to me, it just brought me back to this Christmas thing, this whole holiday thing, and it made me feel like that's the intention that I want to have with the holidays. Like, give truly from a place of, this is something really cool. I think somebody else would really love it. And that just, it did something to me yesterday. Like, I had such regret that I drove away, and I'm like, I just wanted to give, you know, these people my things that they could have, you know, had, used, whatever, for free. So, but that's like a sense of giving. Like, it's coming from a higher place. It's not coming from this place where there's pressure to do things specifically with the intention of celebrating this, you know, this holiday. So it was just something that made me think yesterday. So there's so many different levels to like how this getting rid of my stuff has affected me and my energy and my thought processes, and just like all the things I've been going through with, you know, all the years of energy that has gone into this stuff that has been sitting around. And even though it wasn't in my home, now it was, you know, in a storage unit, now it's in my home. It was still in the background affecting me, because I knew someday I was going to have to go through all this stuff. And I thought to myself that I kept thinking I was just going to go in there one day. I was going to make an intention to go in there one day and spend one day just tearing through the stuff and doing it that way. And it's like, I realized that is absolutely never going to happen, because there's so many levels and layers to like organizing and getting rid of and condensing, and it's just, it couldn't happen there. It could only happen at home where I'm comfortable. So, and because I made a commitment to myself to take 2 totes every weekend, it actually got done. I mean, it's like, it feels like I did it in one day, because that time went so fast. Like, that was just a couple months ago. After review, so I do watch Aaron Doughty's channel, and I am part of his High Vibe Tribe community, and he talked about getting rid of things in his storage units that he had, and that actually inspired me to do, that was the inspiration that I needed to figure out a way to make that happen. That's why I started. That created momentum for me. That was the inspiration that I needed. It was like the message that I needed to finally do something about my storage unit, because it just talked about letting go of things and how letting go of energy, and the things that I still had in there are pretty astounding. I won't go into it in this video, just things from the past that I'm like, it's pretty astounding that I still had some of those things. But your things will definitely affect you. Your things will own you. I said that in an earlier video, and they will. It's not that I am suggesting that you shouldn't own anything. I certainly want things, but I want things from a place of intention. I want things that are a representation of me now, a representation of the direction that I'm going in, a representation of the life that I am moving forward to, not stuff that was a representation of me from some previous time period, from some previous level of awareness, some previous version of myself. Like I had realized a long time ago, like when I moved to the place that I'm at now, I had to get rid of a whole bunch of stuff just because I just didn't have the energy to even take all this. I'm like, I know right off the bat some of the stuff I'm getting rid of. And there was like art that I had that I got, like it was like really cheap, like stuff. Not that the cheap stuff can't be like awesome. I mean, you could find something that's cheap and absolutely love it. It's like the most amazing thing ever. And if you love it, like your energy of loving it is making it valuable. It's making it valuable. But the realization I had even back then, this is like going back 6 years when I was moving to this place. I just realized that again, like back then, it was like, why didn't I get rid of this stuff like so long ago? It's like I'm looking at this stuff and it's like I only held on to these things. These things I had gotten just to put something on my walls, like way longer ago than that. Like we're going back like 15 years before that, maybe 20 years before that. I had purchased those things for a place that I had lived previous. And it was a representation of my level of awareness from that point in time. So it was like, still recording, not going off on this big tangent, and it's not even recording. It's like I was holding on to stuff because I was so used to seeing it. So I made it like a part of my life. Like this stuff I just have to hang on to, even though it's not valuable. It's like not even stuff I'd pick out if I was in a situation to walk into like this amazing art gallery and intentionally pick something out. It was like, I only picked it out because it was inexpensive and it was something to put on the walls. And it was, kind of okay. It was kind of okay. It was cute. It was fine, but it was like cheap. It was cheap. So I bought it just to dress the walls, just to put something, just to decorate the house or make it, fill in the walls a little bit. Okay, I'm just making a quick ending to this video because my stuff stopped recording again. And what the tangent that I was going on was basically hanging on to things and just like the silly reasons that we do that. And then also I wanted to dig more into like how you identify yourself. It's very interesting how those two things are related because like I feel like I had to hang on to those things for all these years and I finally let them go. And we hang on to identities about ourselves. At any moment you can change your identity. You could change the way that you identify yourself, the type of person you identify yourself as. And I think the things, the material objects that we actually hang on to is a really good representation of how we hang on to certain identities, ideas about ourselves. Because like I was talking about with this stuff that I had gotten, I mean, this is like stuff that I got. So before I moved here, the things that I was getting rid of, some of the things that I was getting rid of, were things that I had gotten for a place before the last place. And I had lived at that last place for a long time, a very, 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 very long time. So these things were for a place that I had previous to that, a very early version of myself. So they were just in no way, shape, or form. It's like if you're trying to change the way you look at yourself, it's kind of difficult to do that if you're hanging on to things that are representing an older, like a previous version of yourself. And it's important to look at these things and figure out why you're actually hanging on to them, because we have attachments to things and it could get it's really interesting. It's really weird. Like you want to change your circumstances or your life, but it's hard to like let go of things like actual physical, like material objects, sometimes. And just like, I don't know, some of the reasons that I was hanging on to this stuff, it's like my identity got wrapped up into these things. It's like these things became part of me or part of my life, and I couldn't let go of them. And it's just so interesting because it's like if I had intentionally, like I said about the art gallery, it's like if I intentionally had the circumstances to pick out things, I would not have chosen those things in the first place. Like if, if I had, if at that time, at that stage in my life, if I had, a very large sum of money to walk into a gallery or anywhere, or just like anywhere, like, a nice store that had things that were more something that I would prefer to have, I wouldn't have chosen things that I had, like, ever. So it's like, I held on to those things and was attached to them because I had them for so long. It's like, oh, the memories that are associated with having those things. But then I realized I only had those things to begin with because my circumstances didn't allow me to get better things. So they were no way even a true representation of who I was then. They were a representation of my circumstances at that time, which I wanted better circumstances then. So it's just so interesting to really dig deep and realize some of these things. And also how you identify yourself is really tied into that. I want to talk about that more. I really wanted to jump into that today, but it's getting kind of late. I did record that later in the day, like halfway through the day, and I really didn't think I was going to get something together. I had a lot of insights this morning, and had I gone out much earlier, I would have been able to like go into these other things, but I do just want to touch upon how these things get, the way you identify yourself and how you can easily change that. Easy in a sense that it's actually simple when you realize that it's simple, but it could be difficult with letting go of however you have identified yourself for a long time. So it's easy in the sense that you're the only one that gets to do that. Nobody else gets to do that. So it doesn't matter how other people are defining you or how you think other people are defining you. You're the only one that gets to define you. And it ties into the things, because the things can remind you of an identity that you didn't want in the first place. And when you let go of those things, it's very symbolic, letting go of an earlier version of yourself, of an identity. So if there's any point that I want to make today, if there's any point that I want to make in this video today, it's really that there just really is a really good, just letting go of things. Something as simple as that is really freeing. And it really allows you to think more clearly about what you intend for your life. So now as we're moving toward like the new year, I like to set new year intentions, I can let go of this stuff that no longer is a representation of who I am, who I want to be, where I'm going. It's, an earlier version of myself. So as I move toward a new year per se, because like time isn't real, but as we move toward a new year, I like to set intentions, and it's made me more clear-minded to set intentions by letting go of things that don't fit into the current identity that I have, the current level of awareness that I have, and my future self. So as we move forward, I'm going to be setting intentions that whatever things happen to come into my life are going to be a representation of that version. So I don't know, it's just a very cleansing experience. It's been a very cleansing experience, and I'm still going through stuff, and I'm still weeding through things. So it's really interesting, but I will touch upon more deeply with the identity thing, and of course more about the holidays as they're approaching. But again, this is Rico Star Rose. I was gonna do the ending in the car like I normally do, but everything stopped working. I stopped recording, and there's other things going on. Another thing I really wanted to quick mention was that maybe the people at the store didn't even want my stuff. Maybe they wouldn't have wanted my stuff at all. As a matter of fact, maybe it was the universe intercepting and just, I don't know. Like, I think it was a good idea. It was a good thought process that I had to realize that I could have given that stuff to somebody specific and had known that it was going somewhere. But I do realize that it could have been like an overwhelming amount of stuff in this tote that it might have put in like the woman on the spot. You know, like her kid was with her, like maybe the kid would have been like, yeah, I want that stuff, and like maybe the mom would have been like, I don't know, that's kind of a lot, and like maybe it wouldn't have been stuff that she would have picked herself. Maybe they wouldn't have wanted it at all. So I did realize that also. I think maybe the whole situation happened just as a kind of future reference as to if that were to happen again. Maybe I could pre-plan how I would do that in a way that's not putting anybody on the spot, but maybe offering the stuff so that they could just have it instead of, you know, having to like spend money on something. But I do realize that maybe they wouldn't have wanted it anyway. So I just wanted to say that also. Again, thanks for stopping by. I'll see you soon.